And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to host the incredible Wanda Morris here to give us the scoop on all her little secrets. This red-hot book is out now. Wanda, tell us about all her little secrets.
Oh, thanks, Sarah. Thank you for having me. Wow. All Our Little Secrets is the story of a Black female lawyer who gets caught in a really dangerous conspiracy following the death of her boss, who, and it's not a spoiler, she happens to be having an affair with. That's on page 2 of the book. So we start out with a bang, so to
Yes.
speak. But it explores themes of gender discrimination, race discrimination, aging, all sorts of topics. I've heard that it has kind of like a grab bag of things. If you are looking for something that really will stir you, I'm hoping that you'll find it in this book. I tell people often, despite the body count in the book, it really is a book about family and love and loss and resilience. Elise Littlejohn is the protagonist. She has a cachet of very dark secrets, including a small town past and a brother that she has tried to help in the past because he spent some time on the other side of the law. But when she goes into the executive suite, she finds her boss and lover dead. And she does what some think is the unthinkable. She walks away like she's never seen anything. And from there, things take a really dark turn when she is promoted to replace her boss. And she uncovers some illegal dealings in the executive suite that put her in a really compromising position.
Well, Wanda Morris, you hooked me good, and I am not the only one. Karen Slaughter, Queen Slaughter, raving all her little secrets is a brilliantly nuanced but powerful exploration of race, the legal system, and the crushing pressure of keeping secrets. Morris brings a vibrant and welcome new voice to the thriller space. I personally am devouring this book, and I can't wait to get into all her little secrets because we got a lot to talk about. But first, I just want to welcome everyone who's watching with us on Facebook, watching on YouTube, watching on Murder by the Book channels, watching on my channels, watching in my private Facebook group for mystery and thriller fans. Wherever you're watching from, you're in the right place. This is the right time. And as you know, if you've been here before, this is your time to talk to Wanda. Ask her about all her little secrets. Ask her about Elise Littlejohn. Ask her about this woman having an affair with her man, her manager. Ask Wanda about her writing process. Ask her anything you want. This is your time. If you're new, welcome. We're so thrilled to have you. I want to welcome Susan, Audrey, Anne, Pamela, Madeline, David. And I see the comments are already coming in. Thank y'all for joining us. Okay. Annissa Joy saying hello, Sara and Wanda. Annissa, top community member. Always a pleasure to have you, ma'am. Thank you for joining us. Marcy saying hi, Wanda. Hi, Sara. I love
Marcy.
Marcy, of course, is an amazing writer herself.
Mhm.
Annissa saying, I love this book! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point.
Hi, Annissa.
The family
I know these people. They're kind of like my online friends. And so, hi, Annissa. Hi, Marcy.
Yes, Annissa joining us from South Carolina. She said the family connection between the sister and the brother. Oh my gosh, Annissa, that was so powerful and also so tense. Oh my God. I was like, Sammy, be good. Sammy, be good, please. Okay, let me scroll down. I don't want to make sure I don't miss anything. Ooh, okay. Leslie joining us from Canada, giving us her signature Canadian hello. Oops, I popped it away. Hello from Canada. Leslie, top community member there. Always a pleasure to have you, ma'am. Thank you for joining us. Marcy would like to know, what was the inspiration for this novel? Marcy, I'm wondering too. Wanda, give us the skinny.
Certainly. So, wow. Many, many years ago, I worked for an organization where executive management called everyone family. All the employees were considered part of the family. And unfortunately, they didn't treat employees like family. In fact, they treated employees far less than you would a family member. Um, and I worked in a department where someone died. There was nothing sinister about it. The person just died. But I was mortified by how quickly everyone went back to normal after the death. Like the office was cleaned up. 2 days later, the name was removed from the door. People didn't even speak the person's name. And I was kind of like, what happened to all that family stuff we talk about? And I think that just stuck with me. And so I wanted to explore this idea of family, whether it's the family we choose or the family that chooses us. And, what are the ties that bind us? That sometimes supersede blood relationships. And so, yeah, that kind of served as the inspiration. And certainly my being an attorney and having worked in corporate America certainly informed some of the scenes and some of the things that occur in the book as well.
Well, having spent 14 years in the corporate world, I would say you nailed corporate culture, both the good sides and the not so good sides. It can be pretentious, it can be fake, the
Mhm.
endless meetings, the unnecessary meetings,
Mhm.
the posturing. There's a lot. If you've ever worked in an office, uh, you will relate to this book and you will chuckle and you will roll your eyes as I am doing. Licha Haney, welcome to the conversation. Joining us from Texas. She's saying, wow, so much for family at the workplace.
Right?
Absolutely. And in your book, Elise is shocked when they moved on the next day, appointing her to take his place. So it very interesting indeed. Now, the questions are already pouring in. So let's get right to them. Lisa's saying hello. Marcy is saying thank you for the kind words. Oh, Marcy, we're so happy to have you here. Thanks for joining us. Okay, Annissa would like to know how, oh gosh, this is a good question. How different was the finished book from your first draft?
Oh gosh, night and day. Oh gosh. My first draft was bad. It was bad. It like stunk up the place. I wrote the very first draft of this book 13 years ago. And I probably wrote about 70% of the book. I didn't know how the book was going to end. And then I put it away. I put the book away for 7 years because I convinced myself that nobody was going to want to read a book about a Black woman in her 40s who worked with really god awful people. And I think I also talked myself into the fact that my writing wasn't good and that, this was kind of a folly. You know, I have a job, why am I trying to do this? So I put it away. And then I had some health issues about 6 years ago. And when I got through that, I did kind of a reevaluation, decided I was going to start doing those things that brought me joy. And so I pulled the manuscript back out. And like I said, it really stunk up the place. The story was told totally in a linear fashion. The dual timelines did not come along until later. I queried the book like something awful and just got tons and tons of rejection. And one of the things that I kept hearing in the rejection was that I don't understand the protagonist. I don't understand why she behaves the way she behaves. And so that's when I decided to open up her backstory and do it in a dual timeline as opposed to doing it in flashbacks, because apparently I was not reaching the reader. And once I opened up and did the dual timeline so that you could see her as a 14-year-old girl, and then kind of in, as an adult, it was then that the story really kind of took off. And then people kind of started to notice and say, oh, wait a minute, I think there might be something here. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, Annissa, great question. Wanda, thanks
Was
for the behind the scenes secrets on all her little secrets. Now, did someone, when you said you shared, thank you for sharing that you got a lot of rejections, and what made you think it was telling it in a linear fashion that wasn't reaching people? Like, what was the inspiration for doing these alternate timelines, which, by the way, I love. So just for everyone who hasn't read it yet, it flashes back and forth between present day as Elise is navigating the family culture company and back in 1978 and 79, where she's a little girl in Chillicothe, a little teeny tiny made up town, I just learned, in Georgia. What made you think to do that? I love it, but how'd you get there?
Well, because I had attempted to show kind of the trauma and her strength and her resilience, and doing it through like little snatches of flashback during the present timeline was not enough to capture exactly who she was. And I think it was also rounded out by the fact that she had these women in her life who were so influential. Her Aunt V, even her mother Martha. And so because I set out to tell a story about women, once I kind of fully opened up the story and explored all the women in the story, then the story started to gel, I think.
Very cool. Well, I love it. I love how it landed. Okay, let's get to some other questions. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything. Ooh, Rick and Rae would like to know, how long did it take you to write your book? So you started 13 years ago. You convinced yourself it wasn't good enough. Who can relate? Me. How many hands can I put up? Then you decided to do what brings you joy. So from when you decided to do what brings you joy, how long did it take you to rewrite and then get it to this beautiful red hot cover?
So I started it about 6 years ago. I worked on it for probably about a year. I started querying. The book wasn't ready. It really still wasn't ready. I got a ton of rejection. But what I did along the way is that I entered contests, and I tried things that would help me improve my craft. So aside from contests, I did online courses. I attended conventions and conferences when I could. I built myself a community of other writers so that I made friends who supported me through the rejection, who were wiser than me and could give me some advice along the way. And so I was constantly doing that. I finally attended a conference in 2019. And as part of the conference, there was what they call the Pitch Fest. And so you could stop at tables of different agents and sit, tell them about your book. If they're interested, then they say, send me the manuscript. And so I sat down in front of this lovely woman and I described my book, and, I was so nervous. So I pretended like, I was just talking to a girlfriend over lunch, and I was telling her about this horrible story I heard. And she said, oh, that sounds really interesting. Send it to me. And I sent it to her. And 24 hours later, she said, I am loving this book. And so, yeah, she signed me up. Her name is Lori Galvin. She's with Aveda's Creative Management, and she's an angel of an agent. And so that was 2019. And then she sent me notes because she said, oh, after she signed me up, she said, I just love this book. But I think you need to change the back half. And I was kind of like, What? But she was right because she said, I think the way the back half reads, it's been done a lot. You need something fresher. And so I took her advice and I scrapped the back half of the book and I kind of started over. But you know, you're a writer. When you do something in the end, you got to make sure you go back to the beginning and pull that thread through. So it was really
Mm.
kind of like, you know, revising the entire book. So that was like late 2019, early 2020, and then the pandemic hit. And so
Right.
for a while, I just wasn't writing. So we just kind of like, let's see if the world opens back up. And
Mm.
it kind of did. So in July of 2020, we went out on submission. And 12 days later, we were in an auction for the
Oh
book.
my God, that's unheard of.
Yeah.
Wow. And auction. So for people who don't know, tell us what that means. Because y'all, that never happens. Oh my gosh, you're getting so many hearts up on Facebook.
So,
Tell us about
um,
being
so
the living the dream.
essentially, you know, your agent, because I wanted to be traditionally published, so that meant I needed an agent. Everybody doesn't have to go that route. You can do self-publishing and still come out as successfully. But my agent sent it to several publishers, and several publishers said, "Hey, we'd like to buy this book." And so instead of just kind of handing it off to the first person that makes you an offer, you set up a time where they all submit bids, and the person whose bid you like, you know, the most wins the bid. And, you know, it's not necessarily just about who offers you the most money, but, you know, who's the editor that you think that you would most fit and align with. What are the terms of the deal? And so yeah, so we went into auction, and that was really exciting. Yeah, particularly for
Yay.
a book that, you know, I started 13 years ago. So
And convinced yourself that nobody would want to read and put it in a drawer for 12 years. Thank God you brought Elise Littlejohn out of that drawer and into the world and onto the page, because this book is so good. It's so good from a
thank
craft perspective.
you.
I'm enjoying it as a reader. I'm enjoying it as a writer. I am devouring it. Look at all my little post-it notes. I don't know if you can see, but I have all these little post-it notes from all the parts I love and all the things I want to talk about. So great.
Hey,
Marcy
if that was Rick and Rae Howard from Cleveland, Ohio, hey.
Is this Rick and Ray Cleveland from Cleveland, Ohio? Rick and Rae Howard from Cleveland, Ohio? Then
If you
why
guys,
don't
I think those are former church members of mine.
Yay! Great to have you, Rick and Ray. Marcy saying playing around the ideas about what makes a family was so relatable. Marcy, I totally agree. So you play with the family members we don't choose, and and maybe sometimes they try our patience. We've all
Yeah.
been there. And the ones that choose us and that we choose and who we love, despite, you know, we love endlessly as family.
Yeah.
Her relationship, Elise's relationship with V, her auntie V, is so heartwarming. It brings tears to my eyes. It's so beautiful and so heart filling. Marcy, great point. Great point. Thank you for that. I'm just scrolling through. Oh, Licha Haney joining us from Texas. Welcome to the conversation. Always a pleasure to have you. She would like to know, do your book characters talk to you? And if they do, have you had to change something in the story because of it? Cool question, Licha.
Oh, Licha, that's a great question. So it's, gosh, how do I put it? It's not that they talk to me, but I hear them talking to each other in my head. And so as I write, particularly if it's a scene that's very poignant, I am scrambling to try and write down everything I hear. So sometimes in my first drafts, I will just do straight dialogue. So I don't do any beats or anything because I'm trying to get down that conversation that I hear between the characters. Um, and it sometimes does change. There's a character in the book named Juice, who was supposed to be just like a one-off character. He was going to be kind of like a walk-on character. And so I kind of wrote this dialogue between he and Elise, and I thought, oh my gosh, I love this guy. And so I kept him around. I was like, I need to find a place for him, because he was very important to the story as well. Elise was someone who was working in this environment where people made all sorts of assumptions about her based on very little information. But then she turns around and she makes a bunch of assumptions about him. And she doesn't really have the information, and he calls her on it. And I thought, ooh, I like that dynamic. I like how everybody in the story was kind of playing around with these assumptions on which they had nothing to base them. So yeah, so sometimes it can change depending on what the characters are doing in the story.
That is such an interesting question, Licha, and such a very cool answer, Wanda. Thank you for that. Annissa is saying, wow, 13 years ago. Yes, absolutely. That is, I love knowing that, because I think so much there's so much pressure to just be effortless and be instant, and oh, this little thing, I just whipped it up. It's like, no, actually, this took a while. This took a minute. But I think that you can feel that seasoning and that thoughtfulness and that time and that energy and that love that you poured into it, versus if you had hurried more. You can tell that too. So I think that's partly what I'm loving about this book, is that depth and that seasoning and that richness. So yeah, that's really, really cool. Thank you for that. Licha is saying your book sounds and looks very intriguing. It does look very intriguing, and it is very intriguing. And I want to remind y'all, the book is out now, and you can grab it tonight, and you will want to grab it tonight. So I'm popping the link in the comments so you can grab it from Murder by the Book tonight, everybody. It's so, so good. I keep telling myself I'm just going to read one more chapter, but then she leaves me on a cliffhanger and I read another few hours. Licha would like to know, did you have a say on your cover and on your title?
Ooh, interesting. Very good question, Licha. So the original title for the book was called The Elephant Fighter. And yeah, and if you read the book, yeah, it's the epigraph at the beginning of the book, based on an African proverb that says, when elephants fight, the only thing that suffers is the grass. Which means when people who are in power, right, there you go. So the people who have all the power and the resources, when they bicker, then the people who are least among us are the ones who actually wind up suffering. And so obviously, my publisher was like, great title, love the proverb, but I think we need something that really nails what the story is about. And so we threw a bunch of titles around and landed on this. As for the cover, oh my gosh, I love, love, love this cover. I always give shouts out to Ploy Serapont, who is the art director at HarperCollins, and she came up with that. They asked me, what did I want? And I really only wanted two things. First, I wanted a Black woman on the cover. And second, I wanted a cover that would depict what this woman was like, kind of like the dichotomies of her life, which I think they captured perfectly there, because as you can see inside her sunglasses, there's a picture of a young girl. And then you see this very strong Black woman's face. And then she is kind of shielded behind the sunglasses, which kind of depicts all those secrets that she is holding and how those secrets relate to her youth. So I love that cover. I was blown away. I was like doing laundry, and my agent sent me a text and she says, go open your email right now. oh no, they've canceled the book. I opened my email and that popped up and I was just like, wow. I love it. I love it.
I'm so glad you love it. And I'm so glad that they asked for your input. Licha, thanks for the
Mhm.
great question. And Wanda, I'm so glad to hear that you had a positive experience and that they, that they wanted to include you in that and listened and honored your artistic vision for it. Sharon Carlson, welcome to the conversation. Always a pleasure to have you, ma'am. She's saying this sounds so good. My to be read list is out of control at this point. Sharon, I am telling you, you're going to love this book. Gift yourself in this season of gifting. Gift yourself a few delicious hours of really, really good writing and really, really tense pot boiler story here. Marcy is saying, so funny. She works with Laurie Galvin at America's Test Kitchen. What a
Yes,
small world. How
such a small
wonderful.
world.
And Marcy also adding, I think that this is a good lesson for writers that eventually your dream comes true.
Mhm.
Well
Keep
said.
at it. Keep at it. That's my one piece of advice for writers. You never know
Mm.
how close you are because I was so certain I'd gotten so much rejection before I met Lori that I really was on the brink of saying, maybe I need to put this book away for good. And I heard that saying, all you need is one yes. And you just never know how close you are to it. So don't give up. Don't.
Thank you, Wanda. Thank you. Annissa, ooh, great question. What has been the most surprising thing that has happened since the book was published? I'm on the edge of my seat.
Since the book was published, gosh, there's been so many amazing things before the book was published. It was featured in Entertainment Weekly.
Yeah.
Um, I was invited to be on the cover of the Library Journal. So every time I got like one of these calls, I was like, what is even happening? Um, but since the book has been published, the thing that has surprised me the most is how it has resonated with people. And I don't mean just like women, but like I hear from young men. I got a text from a guy who said, I picked up your book in the Portland airport the other day and I cannot put this thing down. I've heard from young women in their 20s who say, oh my gosh, I so relate to what she's going through in this office. And I'm just kind of like, you know, I mean, I get it for like, me, a woman of, a wizened age, but, that it's resonating with people across gender and age,
Mm.
and race is just, it's just mind blowing. And it's so, so exciting. It really is. It's kind of what authors dream of, or at least it's been what I've dreamed of.
I love that, Wanda, and I'm here. I can testify as a white woman, also of a certain age. But I resonate with this book, and it just goes to show you that when you write from the heart, and when
Mm.
you write with an open heart, and the commonality of the human experience, and yes, there are differences, and you include
Mhm.
those differences, and you have those teachable moments in there. But there we can connect to Elise, and we can connect to the story.
Yeah.
So many of us. Absolutely. Rick and Rae Howard saying hi. Yes, it is them, they say.
Hey
Yay.
guys, I haven't seen you guys in years. Thank you for your support.
Licha is saying thank you so much for answering her question. She loves your answer. Licha, always a pleasure. Thank you for your questions. Making sure I don't miss anybody here. I'm just scrolling down. Christina Powers, welcome to the conversation. She is, of course, a book reviewer. She is at A Politically Read Girl, an Instagram influencer in the book sphere, the Bookstagram community. She is saying the audio book is amazing.
Oh my gosh. Yes. The audiobook narrator is Susan Dalian, and she is incredible. incredible. I mean, I was listening to her, and while she was reading the book, I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And I was like, wait a minute, I wrote the book. I know what's going to happen, but she's so, so good. She's so good.
And Tracy Clark has just entered the chat. Tracy Clark, award-winning author from Chicago. Welcome, Queen
Tracy's my buddy. Hey, Tracy.
It's so wonderful to have you. I hosted Tracy when her latest book, Runner, an amazing book I absolutely loved, came out in July, right when her book came out. Tracy, thank you for joining us tonight. A pleasure to have you. Thank you. Annissa saying she devoured this book. It is captivating. Amen, Annissa. Licha saying, what a beautiful proverb about the elephants trampling the grass. Thank you again for answering your question, Licha. Such a pleasure. Marcy saying, it's a brilliant cover. I totally agree. I love the little girl in the sunglasses. It's just, and I love seeing a Black woman on the cover. This is fabulous. Annissa Sherry, she said, I have a TBR mountain, a to be read book mountain, but she will continue to add books. Annissa, you are clearly in the right place. You are one of us. Thank you for your questions and your comments. Tracy Clark, such a pleasure. She is saying, go Wanda. Yes, absolutely.
I love Tracy.
Tracy is
so funny, and she's such a great writer too. Oh my God.
She's amazing. I loved Runner and all of her books. And you have gotten so many rave reviews. I want to just get to a few of them. Let's start with Queen Tracy Clark. She raves in all her little secrets. The trap deftly tightens deftly around Elise Littlejohn, boxing her in, cutting off all means of escape, and you will want to be there for every well-written, tension-filled minute of it. Buckle up. It's a wild ride. I cannot wait for her follow-up. Brava. What an incredible review there from Tracy Clark, who's now gracing us with her presence. Thank you, Tracy. I'm popping that in the link so everyone can check that out. And she is not the only one. Rachel Housel Hall raves, this is a heartbreaking, heart-bursting, I love that, page turner of a book. Wanda Morris's debut as a refreshing read, both entertaining and wise. Rachel was on the show when her book came out. Absolutely love her as well. That was one of my others. Another fabulous one that I loved. Oh my gosh, it's so hard to choose. Hank Philippi Ryan raving all her little secrets is teeming with passion, family, power, history, and heartbreak. It will provoke you, haunt you, and inspire you. Wanda Morris is the consummate storyteller. I'm going to pop the whole thing here for anyone else who wants to read it. Hank's been on the show twice. Absolutely love her.
Oh, she's an angel.
She is an angel. Wanda, what was your favorite scene to write? And what is your favorite scene to read? No spoilers, as you know.
Ooh, gosh, my favorite scene to write. I had a couple of them. But my very favorite one was probably the opening scene, chapter 1, where Elise goes to the executive suite. There were 2 scenes in the book that never changed through the 13 years that I have suffered along with this book. And that was one of them. That scene has always remained at the beginning of the book, and it's always remained the same. And what was the second part? My favorite scene.
What's your favorite scene to read as a reader? As you have read this book, are you just enjoying?
It is towards the end, where Elise comes to some realizations about who she is, who she's always been. She goes back to her hometown, and I love that scene. I think it kind of sums up what so many of us kind of feel being Black and female in this country.
Thank you. Marcy would like to know, when's the next one coming out? Can you give us a sneak peek, Wanda?
The hope is next year, and it is also a thriller about 2 sisters who are on the run, but unaware that someone is hot on their trail. They become embroiled in the murder of someone, and they think that they've escaped. But as you know how these things always go, someone knows what happened, and So everything kind of comes to an explosive end.
Now, Wanda, you had 13 years to write the first one, and now what? 1 year to write this one? What's
Uh,
it been like?
Crazy, absolutely crazy. So I'm like knee deep in revisions as we speak. But it's fun. This is what I love to do. It like I said, literally, it brings me joy. I enjoy writing, so I'm all in. I'm all in. I love it.
Now, Wanda, you live in Atlanta. Elise Littlejohn lives in Atlanta. You are a graduate of the Yale Writers Workshop. Elise is a graduate of Yale Law School. She's a lawyer. You're a lawyer. I'm seeing some similarities.
There might be a few, yeah.
Tell us one of your secrets.
One of my secrets. Oh my gosh. One of
Your little secrets.
you know what? I am so freaking boring. I'm telling you, seriously, Sarah, I am like, I think this is why I write books and why I write murder mysteries, because I am just like, kind of suburban mom with 3 kids and, laundry stacked up to the, ceiling and, dust bunnies in the corner that, I never seem to have time to get to. I'm really kind of like an open book. I don't really have any secrets aside from this book. I mean, I kept this book a secret from everybody. I didn't tell anybody I was writing a book until maybe about 6 years ago when I pulled it out. I finally told my husband. And then I didn't tell my family or, my work colleagues, my friends. I didn't tell them until the pre-order link went live earlier this year.
Wanda Morris.
Because I was still unsure about my writing. So I didn't tell people.
Isn't it amazing how we hold these secret dreams? All of us hold some little secret dream in our hearts, and it feels so vulnerable to put it out there, because what if we put it out there and we work so hard and we care so much and it's such a part of us, and then people don't like it or they say it's terrible or what? It's such a vulnerable thing to create something out of nothing and to put it out there for the public to see.
Truly it is, especially something with the kinds of themes that I cover in this book. There's some dark themes, and I just thought people are going to look and think, has this woman gone batty? But you're right. You got to put it out there, though. That's the only way.
Christina would like to know more about your law expertise. So you are a lawyer. What kind of law do you practice, Wanda?
Labor and employment law.
Interesting.
Yeah.
As Elise Littlejohn works at a company with 6 EEOC lawsuits pending against it. Interesting.
Yeah,
interesting. Marcy wants to know, what authors did you read growing up? Great question.
Oh gosh, authors that I probably should not have been reading at the age of 12 and 13 years old. I mean, like seriously, I was digging through my mother and father's bookshelves and reading things like, The Godfather and Valley of the Dolls, stuff that was wholly inappropriate for, a young girl. But I've always loved to read, and my parents were the kinds, they figured if I was reading, that was a good thing. Now, whether I was reading a bunch of curse words and sex scenes, they were just like, you know what, she's going to figure all that out later. So let her go with it. So they were just happy that I was reading, I think. Yeah. But I used to read books that were, well above my age grade. Let's put it that way. So yeah, I would go and read my parents' books. Oh, I can't hear you.
I hit the mute because I was typing the link to your Entertainment Weekly appearance. So for everyone who wants to see Wanda and Entertainment Weekly, hit The link is in the comments. But I was saying, I also was reading books beyond my appropriate age range. I started out reading Nancy Drews when I was little, which was harmless enough. But then my grandmother started reading P.D. James, which is pretty violent, when I was 9 and 10. But
Oh
hey,
my
I ended
gosh,
up loving
yes.
mysteries. So
I read, The Children of Men and things like that. It's like, what are you doing? Like, you better get back over there and read something appropriate for a 12-year-old. So yeah, not good.
yeah, but back then
You
we didn't
know,
even wear seatbelts. There were no rules.
exactly, right? People were smoking around pregnant women. Pregnant women were
Pregnant
smoking.
women were smoking. Annissa is saying she cannot wait for your next book. Wanda, you have to come back before your book comes out next year, and tell us all about it, because we can't wait to have you back. I can't wait too. Christina is saying she's a paralegal for a health and welfare fund.
Oh,
Very cool.
in the field.
Someone else in the field. Excellent. Okay, y'all. I see we are over our time. Oh my gosh, Marcy saying P.D. James was my favorite author growing up. Marcy, you and I, we got it. We have time for maybe probably 2 more questions from Wanda. If anyone is watching, let us know. Benjamin, welcome to the conversation. Irma, Rob, welcome, everyone. Andrea, great to have you here. And Mary, welcome back. So great to have you. Thank you all for joining us. Any questions last questions for Wanda, just let us know. Get them right over to her. And I just want to remind y'all to grab this book. You guys, I wouldn't steer you wrong. It's so freaking good. You have to read it. I'm really, really enjoying it. I love this book. Okay, cool. The questions are coming in. Licha would like to know, what was your favorite book when you were a little girl?
Oh gosh, when I was a little girl, you know what? I remember, I don't know if anybody knows this book. It was called A Snowy Day. It's a picture book.
Oh, yes.
And I used to read that book, like, even when I was like not a little girl, because I just loved the story. And it was one of the first books that I saw other little Black kids in, because, the early readers and things like that did not have a lot of Black kids in it. And so I have always treasured that book. So yeah, when I was little girl, that was my favorite book.
Licha, great question. Wanda, thank you for the answer. And again, it's just so important that everyone deserves to see themselves on the page, on the cover, on the stage, on the screen, the big screen, the little screen. We all deserve to see ourselves. We all deserve that representation. And it's so wonderful to see that here. Annissa saying Ezra Jack Keats.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. I love that. I believe Annissa is a school librarian. So I bet
it's a very simple, very short book, but the pictures are really powerful. And I believe it was one of the first books too, because I think it was written like way back in the 60s. And I think it was one of the first books that was written that featured a Black child and an early reader. Yeah.
Yay. And Leslie is saying another down to earth author I have to check out. Leslie, get the book. You're going to love it. I'm popping the link in the comments one more time, because y'all, you're going to want to grab it. Oops, I just clicked the wrong. Oh, I was looking up the Ezra John Keats book for you. So that first link is for him. And now I'm popping the link to Wanda's book.
That too.
Grab that Ezra John Keats book. Everyone's got a kid they need to buy a book for.
Right.
And I'm just going through, making sure I didn't miss anyone else's last comments. Thank you, everybody. Yes, Annissa saying elementary school librarian. Wonderful. Licha saying
I love librarians, by the way. They're my very favorite. I wrote a ton of this book in a library every day on my lunch break. I go to the library around the corner from my job, and I'd sit in there and write for an hour and a half. So I love librarians.
I love librarians, and I love libraries. So Annissa, thank you for being a librarian. Licha saying thank you once again for answering my question, Wanda. I loved this chat and learning about your book. I love the sound of it. Licha, grab it, girl. You're going to love it. Annissa saying the book came out in 1962. Excellent. Christina is saying, thank you so much for the great chat. Thank you all for joining us. This book also got a review from Hannah Mary McKinnon. She's been on the show twice. She raves that this is a timely, terrific thriller you won't be able to put down. I devoured the story faster than a plate of chicken and dumplings. Absolutely. You will. So I'm popping some others in the comments as well. So everyone, Annissa saying Ron Black is also an awesome
Oh my gosh,
librarian.
I love Ron. Oh my gosh, I'm talking to him tomorrow. So if you got something that you're busy, you got some free time, join us on the Cuyahoga County Public Library website. I'll be on there tomorrow talking with Ron. I adore him. And that's my hometown. That's my home library. So I'm so excited.
Oh, that's so great. Annissa says she'll be there. See you tomorrow. See, there you go. Marcy sharing that Wanda and she were panelists on the Library Journal Day of Dialogue. It was a lot of fun. It's so great to know that you're supporting libraries in this way and touring with libraries, Wanda. Is there anything that you wish I had asked you that you wish to share with us about this book? One thing you want people to take with them as they leave the pages of your book, having read it, having learned, felt, experienced?
Oh gosh, I guess I just hope that people come away having a new perspective, or at least a perspective that says, wow, I'd never thought about those themes that way. And how can I help? How can I become an ally? What can I do? Yeah. Not a lot of Black female thriller authors in the game. So come on and join us. We love to have you.
I have definitely noticed that as I have launched the series and segued into the mystery and thriller space. I'm also on the board of my local library, and I curate their author speaker series. And when I curate the series, my series looks like the world outside. I have everybody on that because I believe, again, everyone deserves to see themselves on that stage. But as I've segued into the mystery and thriller space, I have been shocked to notice what a white space it is, blindingly white, in fact.
Right.
And that's, I'm starting to see that change a little bit in the past year, but yes, we need more of that because we need more of these stories told by you and featuring characters that look like you, because what a wonderful opportunity for us to walk in her shoes and read through her eyes and see the world and feel the world and experience the world through her eyes and through her experience in a way that you may not otherwise. So
exactly, I think Black thriller authors can take you on adventures that you may have never thought about or seen before.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes. And I love that. What an incredible opportunity. And so well said. So Wanda Morris, come back and talk to us when your next book is out. Thank you so much for coming on to tell us all about all her little secrets. And thank you all for joining us and for the wonderful questions and comments. I will see you next Monday for #Mystery Monday, because Mondays can be murder. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Wanda.